Ladies and gentlemen, in this video I want to tell you why I drive this 2019 Camry. But before I go into that, I want to explain how I got the car. Okay, so the year was 2019, right? I was driving a 2000 Honda Accord Coupe, two-door Honda. It did have an issue. It had an oil leak coming from the head gasket, and my dad was like, "You need a new car." You know, and in the same time, I had a friend from church that was telling me, "It's like, oh, why don't you get a Toyota or something?" He already had a lot of Toyotas from a dealership. He got like four different Camrys and stuff, and he had a 2018 Camry at that time. And so at that moment, he was telling me that the dealership, I don't know if they had a promotion or something. It said, "Oh, if you buy a Toyota of Greenville and you put 1,000,000 miles on it, then they'll give you a free car." And of course, with any skeptic, I'm like, "Yeah, right, dude." "You're right. Isn't that true?" Then he kept saying it several times, you know, more than one day. And then I was like, well, maybe it's true, you know. So at that time, I was a mechanic. So I had that 2000 Honda Accord. I was a mechanic at Firestone. I was working there for a year until I got a hernia. So from lifting heavy tires. Now, when I got the hernia, I didn't really realize what that was. You know, just okay, so this bump on the side of my stomach, you know, didn't pay much attention to it. I kept working for a whole month until I was asking around, what is this thing? You know, they had said, oh, it's a hernia. It's like it's serious, you know. So fast forward, I had to get a surgery, and then after the surgery, they were telling me, it's like I can't lift anything heavy. And because of that, well, how can I go back to being a mechanic, lifting heavy tires? You know, that's how I got a hernia in the first place. And so I was like, okay, so a month before that surgery, I bought this car. So I actually traded in that 2000 Honda Accord Coupe for this car. And the way I did it was with the help of my dad, you know, because he had a good credit. I had some credit, but it wasn't enough. And so either way, so like basically this car was under my dad's name, but I was like the co-owner. So if that makes any sense. You know, and fast forward 5.5 years, I paid off, with God's help, I paid off the car, and now I'm officially like the owner of the car, you know. So, and then so after the friend, you know, after I got the car, you know, I guess my friend was actually more happy about me getting this car than I was. You know, I was like, oh, just a Camry, you know. But it's not just a Camry, right? It's because with the help of this car, I started doing Uber. So that moment where, you know, I got the surgery, I had to leave Firestone. I couldn't really just, you know, and so I had to leave Firestone. And I was like, well, what's my next goal? A month before the surgery, I bought this car. How am I supposed to pay for it, you know? And so a while ago, somebody was telling me, it's like, oh, why don't you try Uber, right? Uber, at that time, I was driving the 2000 Honda Accord, which didn't qualify for Uber. So how was I supposed to do that, you know? So now that I got the car, I was like, you know what? Let me try. You know, 2 weeks after the surgery, I was recovering, and you know, I was getting better and stuff. It was very painful to walk. So, so when I started I didn't tell my parents this or anything. I was just, you know, saying, hey, like I just submitted all the documents and stuff. I was like, you know what, let me try this, you know. I was sitting at home. I was living with my parents at the time. And then what happened was I was just sitting at home. I was like, you know what, let me try this. I turned on the app. It was Uber at the time. And then I got a ride request. I was like, oh, what do I do? Cancel. You know, so like I was like, this is so new to me. Like I don't even know what to do with this thing, you know. So I was like, okay. The next day, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. So I turned on the app. I got a request. It's like I accepted it. Then it's like, great. Now what? It's like, okay. So I was like, okay. I guess I just go in the car and go. You know, like there's no training. What do I do? So I got into the car. Started driving. I remember it was the first. My first trip on Uber was when I got. It was a lady. I was picking up at Adidas, you know, and when I pulled up, I was like, you know, hi, how's it going? And then I told her, like, oh, this is my first ride. And then she was like, oh, wow, how many did you do before that? I was like, well, just one. I was like, I was like, oh, wow, so I was like, this so, like, awkward moment and stuff. And then as soon as I dropped her off at her house, I turned off the app. I was like, wow, you could actually make money doing this. You know what I'm saying? I was so surprised how this is even possible. And so after that, I started doing more and more trips, and then like I estimated how much I would make in a week and stuff, and then I was like, you know what? I'm actually making twice as much than if I would have worked at Firestone as a mechanic, like basic mechanic. Don't think I was like the high end tech. Just a simple guy that did the oil changes, tires, brakes, that stuff. And so I was like, you know what? Because at that time when I was recovering that 2 weeks at home after the surgery, I didn't tell my boss. He thought I was coming back. I didn't officially tell him, I couldn't come back, But once I saw that, I was making twice as much, I officially told them, like, hey, I quit. Like, I can't go back, So then it was like, yeah, of course, that kind of took it by surprise. But life happens, but it was for the best. I honestly think this is a blessing in disguise, right? So yeah, it's tragic, like I had a surgery and hernia, I can't lift anything heavy, but at the same time, like this is not better, right? Make it more, it's an easier job, and while it still lasts, why not do it, because I know in the future they say, oh, like they got robo taxis coming out, you got all this and that, well, it's like, well, people don't really trust robo taxis yet, so while Uber or Lyft exists, why not do it, so I was, sticking to it for almost close to 6 years now within the rideshare, because first I was doing Uber. I think I did it for like 3 months. And then my brother's like, hey, why don't you try Lyft? So I tried Lyft. I did Uber and Lyft, and I compared. And as far as my market goes, more people order Lyft. So I was like, there's no point of me just sticking with Uber too. I was like, you know what? Forget Uber. I respect them, but like, I don't need Uber here. I just stick with Lyft. Because what was happening is, I was going through the app. I was basically going Uber and Lyft. I have them on. So what would happen is, it's like, oh, you get a ride on one platform, then you have to always switch through the two, and it's so much headache, turn one off, and all this stuff. I mean, sure, people probably why not just leave them both on? It's like, okay, well, here's the issue with that, so if you have both apps running the whole time, Uber and Lyft, the problem with that is, okay, so say you have a ride request on Uber, and then you have a ride request on Lyft. Okay, so as soon as you finish that Uber ride, you're gonna go into Lyft, and then during that ride with the Lyft, you have another one on Uber, and then you have more rides on Lyft either way, and then the guy on the Uber is gonna be, hey, where you at? It's like, oh, sorry, I'm still doing this ride, So there's gonna be like this conflict of riders, and then they're gonna leave you a bad review, and which when your ranking goes down, you get worse rides, and then it makes it worse on your score because they rank each other. So I just stuck with Lyft, and so fast forward almost 6 years after 5.7 years, I think that's what my app says, and I'm still driving it, So like I'm still trying to hit that 1 million mile mark. Okay, so whether or not I get a free car at the end, I don't know, but either way, this is my job, this is what I do, so that's why not have the car. And sure, with the previous videos you might have saw, like the transmission video, and even now it does have this torque converter shutter, and I'm like, man, like not again, but it's statistically, if you look up the 2019 Camry, it's one of the most unreliable cars out of the Camrys, right? So if you have the older Camrys, back in the days, they're probably even more reliable than this thing. But, since I'm here, why not just go all the way to the end, So, of course, with my ownership of this car for so long, and I want to say for any car, I think there comes a point where it's like you're so tired of this thing, you just want a different car, But for the purpose of this channel, for the purpose of this video, I do, with God's help, plan to put 1,000,000 miles on here, because I'm not, don't think I'm the only guy that wants to put like so much miles on the car that it cannot be done. No, it's been done. There's cases you can read about it. The 1.6 million mile Tundra. There's a Volvo with over 3 million miles on it. Of course, they had some work done, but it's still going. I mean, why not? See, that's the thing. Like, why not just keep going? So for the purpose of the channel, I'm still gonna go. And to answer your question of why do I drive this car? Well, because it's what I have. I'll work with what I have, and maybe in the future I'll get a different car and stuff, and maybe a lot of cars, because for all these years that I only had one car, I do want this and that, but it's, when time comes to get another car, maybe a spare car would be nice, if God allows for it. So and thank you for sticking all the way through, and thank you to all my supporters, to everybody that subscribed, to all the people that view and support the journey. I'm doing my best. I'm still driving the car. I'm still trying to take care of it, and as I promised in one of the shorts, once this channel gets 1,000 subscribers, I could start officially making money on YouTube. And then I could actually start creating be a more creator, right? So actually be a creator on this channel, and get better videos. And of course, if you have any other video ideas that you want to see on this channel, feel free to leave it in the description. So I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm glad that you guys sticked all the way through this whole video, and I hope you have a blessed day. So take care. God bless.